The first course we're going to offer at the Midrash Es Chaim is a basic Hebrew course, and we're going to use Lyons for this, Lyons Hebrew Spelling Book and Grammar, which is a gentle introduction to the Hebrew language for a beginner. And despite being an old book, it's very good. Lesson 1 will be on the alphabet, which we're going to look at here. The first letter, this one, Aleph, pronounced as a clear A sound. Aleph. In Spanish and Portuguese pronunciation, these two letters, with the dot and without, are both pronounced bet, bet, b, bet. These two letters, in Spanish and Portuguese, with the dot and without the dot, are both pronounced gimel, gimel, g, gimel. These two letters, both with and without the dot, in Spanish and Portuguese pronunciation, are both pronounced dalet, dalet, with the force d. This letter here, with a small gap, notice here between the little armature, is pronounced hey, hey, corresponding to the English letter H, hey. So Aleph, Bet, Gimel, Dalet, He. And this letter, in its form as a consonant, is Vav, pronounced V, Vav. The next letter we look at is Zayin, Zayin, pronounced Z, Z, Zayin. This letter, which resembles the letter He, but it's closed up here, is Chet, Chet, which is the noise that a cat makes when it's angry. Chet, written in our book with a double H. Det, the letter T, but pronounced slightly further back in the mouth, as you might hear it in some Indian subcontinent accents. T, tet, t. This is the letter Y, or Yod, Yod, Y. These two letters, both with the dot and without the dot, are pronounced differently. One is Kaf, Kaf, with the dot, giving us the sound K, and the other is Chaf, Chaf, giving us the sound Ch. Our next letter is Lamed, Lamed, L. Mem, Mem, not to be confused with Tet. Mem, M. Nun, N, not to be confused with the letter B, Bet, which is longer on the top and the bottom. Samech, Samech, S. Ngayin, Ng, Ng, as the sound in sing. Ng, Ngayin. These two letters are differentiated by the dot. One is P, P, and the other is Fe, F, P and F, Pe, Fe. This letter here is Ts, Tzade, Tzade. This is a K sound, but it's slightly further back in the throat. Kuf, Kuf, K, Kuf. The letter R in Hebrew is always pronounced, unlike in English, where we drop it off at the end of words and all over the place. Resh, Resh, R, Resh. We have these two letters, which in older Spanish and Portuguese pronunciation from the 1700s were both pronounced S, but nowadays we do differentiate them, and we say with a dot on the right hand side, shin, sh, and the dot on the left hand side, sin, s. So sh and s. Although in the Spanish and Portuguese, if you do say s all the time, that is one authentic pronunciation, but it's a historic pronunciation and it's not used anymore. And our final two letters are both pronounced the same way nowadays, t and t, although historically they were tav and thav. Then we have 5 letters which have a different form at the end of words. The way to understand this is these letters are called the bent letters, because if you straighten out the bottom part here, you end up with a straight line coming down here, and the letter is unbent. So if you imagine this letter being loosened and relaxed, this part would drop down and you end up with the final form, or the straight form and the bent form. So we have khaf, and at the end of a word, khaf, or k, k. We have m, and at the end of a word, m. This letter here is distinguished by being slightly sharper than the letter s. It's more square. Nun, nun, pe and fe and fe, and tsadi and tsadi. Then we also have a phenomenon where letters sometimes are extended or lengthened. Aleph can become longer, aleph. He can become longer, as we see here, he. Lamed, this line here can be extended, lamed. Mem, the top and bottom lines can be extended, mem. Resh can be extended, resh. And tov can be extended, tov, like this. And in writing, any other letter may also be written longer. We have occasionally the word el combined into one, as we see here, el. This is called a ligature, where 2 letters are joined together. So we have the aleph part here and the lamed part there, el. The following letters are pronounced harder when they have a dot, which is called a dagesh. So b, b, g, g, d, d. Then we have ch and k, f, p, t, t. Now in Spanish and Portuguese, there's not a big difference between the b and the b, and the g and the g, and the d and the d. These two differentiate quite clearly. Ch, k, f, p, and these have lost their differentiation, so it's largely the same. T, t. When you do start learning the letters, as I've already pointed out a little bit, some letters are very similar. So we have bet, chaf, and pe, all being a bit similar. Notice that bet has got a sharp corner here, that's got an overhang. Bet, chaf is rounded, and pe has got the bit on the inside. Gimel has got a little leg that sticks out and a little notch at the bottom. Gimel, nun has got a sharp corner on the bottom right. Gimel, nun. He has got a gap. Het, no gap. And tov has got a foot. He, het, tov. Tet curls around on the inside. Mem looks a bit different. It's got a gap at the bottom. So tet, mem. Yud and vav. In handwriting, sloppy yuds can turn into vavs, and sloppy vavs can turn into yuds. Yud, vav. Zayin and the final nun, which is longer. Zayin, nun at the end of a word. Lamed, kaf. Lamed, kaf. These two easy to confuse. Samech, which is a rounded shape, samech, and mem, which is more square. Samech, mem. Dalet, which is defined by having a sharp inside corner. Dalet. Resh, which is rounded. and the inside corner should also be round. In most typefaces it's not, but that's a distinguishing characteristic. Here it's rounded on the outside. Resh. And the final Chaf. Ngayin, Tzadi, and the final Tzadi. Shin and Sin, which, as I pointed out before, in the 1700s, 1800s, Spanish and Portuguese, they were both pronounced S, but this is no longer acceptable. Shin, Sin, Sh, S. And that's the end of our first lesson on the alphabet.